Hey fellow tennis nerds, I hope all is well. Is there an ideal swing weight that we all should use? Of course not. Rackets are very personal, swing weights, weights and balances, and everything else in a racket specification is very personal. You need to play with what works for you and not copy anyone else. But I have noticed a trend and a pattern recently when I have measured a lot of pro player frames, and I've seen something that might surprise you, because I think a lot of players think that most professional tennis players play with swing weights up to 360 strung, and that's where we find Djokovic and Murray, who are playing with these 95 square inch, very control oriented rackets. So they need a lot of swing weight to open up power, because swing weight pretty much equals power of the frame. So even Rafa used a pretty high swing weight, although his racket is very different from Novak and Andy. But many professional players also use lower swing weights, which can be a good inspiration for us recreational players. We shouldn't go for too much, because it's gonna be cumbersome to swing. You're gonna mistime the ball over a long match. You might not have the physique or the stamina to actually play with this efficiently. I measured a few player swing weights recently: Dan Evans, Garbine Muguruza, Karolina Pliskova, Ilya Ivashka, and Denis Shapovalov, and they've all been in a similar range of strong swing weight. Their specs and rackets are very different, but overall we've seen a very similar strong swing weight, and that is around 330. That seems to be the golden standard for many modern tennis players, and some even a bit lower than 330. And their static weights, meaning how heavy the racket is a little bit heavier than what you would see on most retail rackets. Even the WTA players get them up to 335 grams strong, so they're definitely adding some weight to the racket. I've seen that with my professional player rackets at home as well. So even on the WTA tour, they add a little bit of weight, usually, not in all cases. And on the men's tour, you can see the static weight be up to 345 to 360 grams strong, but the swing weight remains relatively low, I would say. I mean, 330 is a pretty high swing weight, but for professional players, I would say is quite manageable. And the reason I find it to be kind of a golden standard in a way is because I think it offers the player good power, good stability, while retaining some maneuverability. Some players would play 340, Jannik Sinner and Federer, and then players can move up from that as well. But I've seen a lot of players hovering in this 330 area. And it's interesting that both WTA players and ATP players have been found here, at least the ones I measured. So I thought I would raise that topic. And if you're looking for a racket that you don't need to customize and is in the range of 330 strong swing weight, if it's unstrung, then it would be 300, because it usually adds 30 points with strings on a regular length racket. But these rackets would be Technifiber TF40 or the T-Fight 305, the new ISO. Those are in the 330 range. Generally, you would see a higher swing weight the more strings there are. So the 1820 has more swing weight than the 1619 in pretty much all cases. We see that with the Wilson Blade. The 1820 has a higher swing weight than the 1619, and then they're generally spec the same, but you have more strings, and strings will add swing weight, of course. So that's what you see there. Other control frames with a high swing weight, all the pros pretty much in Heads lineup, the Prestige Pro, the Radical Pro, and the Gravity Pro. Yes, they have a lot of rackets. Yonex range, the V-Core Pro is not quite there, but then you get to the V-Core Pro 97H, which is very heavy, higher than that, or the 97D, which is more in the range of 330 strong. You also have the E-Zone Tour, for example, or in the Bubble Out lineup, you have the Bubble Out Pure Strike 98, which I think should be due an update this year, but I have no information, so I cannot really tell you, but it's about time we see version 4 of the Pure Strike. So is the golden swing weight for now? This might change as the game progresses. It's been getting faster, they hit harder, they swing faster, and obviously the younger guys, they use more of an aggressive swing speed than the older generation. That you can definitely see. So maybe rackets will get even lighter, even larger in head sizes on the Pro Tour. But how I can summarize this video is that 330 strong or slightly lower, that's a golden swing weight. And that's also my personal favorite, so perhaps I was a bit biased in making this video. But I hope you learned something. If you want to know more about tennis rackets and tennis strings and gear, check out my course, The Road to the Right Racket, 50% off until the end of the year. I also want to thank everyone for subscribing. We reached 40,000 subscribers, which took a while, but very happy about that, and thanks to all of you. I hope we can keep growing the channel. Let me know what kind of content you would like to see. And if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. It costs nothing. That is all for now. Have a nice day, and don't forget to play some tennis.